a lot of our Republican Republican politicians, okay, are always talking about doing things right, right? In other words, they want to make sure, but at the same token, the things that's necessary to do right, they don't want to do, as in getting people vaccinated. I want you to listen to this senator. This senator purports to be a doctor. How can anybody listen to someone who purports to be a doctor that speaks this way? Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
Joining me now is Republican Senator Roger Marshall of Kansas. He is a medical doctor, but he is opposed to the mandate. Senator Marshall, thank you for coming on, and welcome to Meet the Press.
Thanks, Chuck. Glad to be here.
Let me start with this. If you have no mandate, what is your plan to get more people vaccinated? Because it appears vaccines are still our only way out of this pandemic.
So our plan is to be honest with Americans. Look, about 30% of Americans right now have chosen not to get the vaccine. But what the biggest impact to be right now is to get boosters into seniors. That's what's going to stop hospitalizations and stop deaths. If you're a senior citizen and haven't got your booster yet, shame on you. Please go do that. If you have underlying health care conditions, if you're diabetic, if you're overweight, please go get the booster, because you're going to get the virus, be exposed to it, I'll guarantee it. And if you don't have that booster, we know the vaccines kind of run out after about 5 to 6 months. Natural immunity would help. And even those with natural immunity may want to consider getting the booster as well. And we know that mandates don't work. From a practical standpoint, mandates are going to cause an economic shutdown. It's going to exacerbate inflation. It's going to cause brownouts. It's going to cause supply chain disruptions and national security issue. Think about this. Half of the National Guard is not vaccinated yet. What would be happening in Kentucky right now if we shut down half of the National Guard?
You said something interesting. You said if senior citizens haven't gotten that booster, shame on you. Is that your attitude for any unvaccinated person in the hospital right now? Because 80% of hospitalizations at a minimum right now in the northern tier, where we're hitting close to max, are the unvaccinated with COVID. Shame on them?
Look, I think I've been one of the leaders from the start encouraging people to get the vaccine. In the summer of this year, I was encouraging people to get boosters. If the CDC could have pivoted sooner, we would have saved thousands of lives. I think being honest with people, the CDC needs to acknowledge natural immunity. Look, as a physician, I was never able to talk to anybody into stopping smoking by a mandate. And by the way, let's talk about eating healthy and exercising every day and getting 7 hours of sleep, avoiding stress. Those are the things that we can all be doing to help minimize the impact of this virus.
You know, you brought up smoking. I know at our company here, if you're a smoker, you have to pay more. If you don't get vaccinated, should you have to pay for your own health care? Should taxpayers, and more importantly, is it a bizarre incentive to the unvaccinated to give them unemployment benefits?
There's not a one-size-fits-all solution. I think that problem will be best solved locally. So if a local employer, wants to make those type of decisions, I get it. I'm just against any type of federal mandates of any type, especially an unconstitutional federal vaccine mandate. Again, think from the practical standpoint what that's going to do to the economy, inflation. I rattled off all those other issues that's going to impact. Look at the big picture.
I understand that. Well, look at the big picture of this pandemic. Everything you rattled off that you said would be impacted by a mandate is what we're living through now. The only way to get past the supply chain problems, to get past COVID, get people vaccinated. The only way to get more workers to show up is to make it safer, to get more people vaccinated. Everything you described here, all of our problems, are because we're still in the pandemic and because people haven't gotten vaccinated. How does trying to delay the end of this pandemic better for the economy?
92% of Americans have some level of immunity to this virus based upon the CDC website. So let's start there. And really, the messaging coming out of the White House has to acknowledge natural immunity and be honest with America. Look, based upon years of experience, mandates don't work.
Let me ask you this. You have talked about natural immunity. You've talked about natural immunity a lot. Would you advise somebody to get the virus rather than get the vaccine?
Of course not. But if you've had the virus, that needs to be acknowledged.
We spend a now. My mind was going around in circles. You know what? Let's just go exercise some more. Let's just go ahead and eat better. By the way, all those things are good. We want to exercise more. We want to eat. We want to eat well. We want to lose weight. All that stuff is true because it turns out that most of the people who die from COVID are really obese. Okay, that is a reality. But you missed the point. Even those, if most of the ones who are dying now are the ones who are unvaccinated. But that is not only the issue. When he comes out and he says mandates doesn't work. Come on, man. We have the numbers to prove that mandates work. We have an experiment in Kansas. 2 different cities in Kansas show one with a mandate, one without a mandate. They work. Okay? The same thing happens as you increase mandates, the disease drops because people are forced to abide. Now, he may say, oh, it's unconstitutional. Well, it is unconstitutional. Is it unconstitutional for all those kids who are vaccinated with 10, 12, 15 different viruses, or rather vaccines, every year before they are allowed into school? No, it's not. So it is hogwash. I wish Chuck Todd had hit him up about, well, does that mean that we'd stop giving people vaccines altogether? Because you're saying it is unconstitutional. It is not. He's saying we don't want to screw up the economy. The only way not to screw up the economy is to make sure we bring down the infection rates. The only way we bring down the infection rates is to make sure people get vaccinated, and where it's in high demand, wear masks. All things that the people who claim they are the economic guys, the Republicans, and by the way, I want to state this fact for all our listeners. The economy always does worse under Republican presidents. That's not a question, that's a fact. You can look it up. Please look it up. Under Democratic rule, the economy always does better. And in recent times, we've always have to have somebody come and clean up a Republican mess, vis-a-vis Bush, vis-a-vis Trump, constantly over and over, because they simply shoot the economy, because they are grifters who take the monies away. Remember that, folks. Very important to remember. Anyhow, we spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.